Okay, I guess we're good. So, good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon, Ray.
Hello.
Hi.
Good afternoon.
We all today.
Great.
Doing great.
Busy,
Yay.
busy.
Busy. Well, that's what I want to hear. And that's what I have been hearing from all of you guys, that everyone's running around like a chicken without a head lately.
Chickens are in the backyard.
And those poor chickens, I really don't want to ever see a chicken running around without its head. I can imagine that's probably not a very nice sight.
I don't think so.
Yeah. But you know, it's been a couple weeks since we've done one of these, and I feel like so much has changed since we started doing this show. And you know, we went initially talking about virtual real estate and how we were dealing through the start of the pandemic and how we were conducting ourselves and our business. And we talked about seller tips for the new market, which it is a new market. We experienced a very interesting second quarter with a slow start, but a really quick finish. And now going into the new quarter, I know, just like we said, we're all very busy and we're seeing some great activity. So we're going to talk about that today. We're going to first reflect on the second quarter a little bit, and then we're going to talk about what we're experiencing now and some of the trends that we're seeing in the market, and also what we're seeing just as far as trends themselves. What are people looking for right now that are looking for homes? What are some of the things that you guys are seeing and hearing? So just to reintroduce our whole panel, we have Carol Rogers.
Hi.
We have Kim Starks.
Hello.
Marcia Talbot.
Hi.
And Susan Schneider.
That should be last but not least.
Definitely not least, but that's in the order that you guys are showing on my screen. So that's why I went.
No, I understand. I'm teasing you.
So we're not going to go through our entire quarterly market report. That is a really nice piece that is created by our very own Joe Rand. It's very, very comprehensive with lots of great information and graphs. And if anybody wants a copy of that, you can reach out to any of us and we will send you the entire report. But what we wanted to do is just go through a couple little snippets from the report with you. And this is live. So if anyone has any questions, feel free to ask the questions within the comment section on Facebook, because you're all probably watching on Facebook. And I will be monitoring the chat throughout the session. So if there are any questions, I will ask that of the panel. And also, if you want to share the feed, we would love for you to share. Sharing is caring, and we love the additional exposure and visibility. So, Tale of Two Markets. So I know Tale of Two Markets is Marcia's favorite. When we were doing our little prep session, she says, I just love that. And, you know, and Carol loved it too. And we were talking about naming the session that, but I've already named the session, the second quarter review. So, but let's talk about the Tale of Two Markets. So why are we experiencing, and why have we experienced two separate markets? And I'll let Marcia pick it up just because I'm looking at you right now, Marcia.
Hi, everybody. I think what we're seeing is this incredible surge of people looking for housing. And at the same time, we have shortage of inventory. So that's one aspect of it. The interest rates are amazingly low. And actually, before we went on, I just saw something on the news feed that they even went down lower.
Wow.
Wow,
So
what are they saying that
the
they're
lowest ever. So
now.
I'm sorry, I thought, at least it was very quick because I had to be ready for this, that it was below 3.
Wow.
Now, that is not for everybody, of course.
No.
But the fact that it is that, and as Carol and I talked about earlier, we both sold real estate at, Carol, tell them what percentage.
Oh, 17% interest rate and no verification on your income. Yikes.
Wow.
Yeah.
So when we saw it at 10%, we jumped for joy. But it was like, oh my God. So, but now at this extraordinarily low rate, it is an amazing time to buy. So that's part of the tale. The other part of the tale is that inventory is so low so that it is difficult to find housing.
Yeah.
Amy, you want to pick it up?
Yeah, go ahead. Someone.
Well, then that part of the market, Marcia, that we talked about is the market for the seller. The seller is experiencing very high prices on their
Yes.
homes, extremely high. So I think that is something that people should consider if they're thinking at all about a change in the direction they're in, and a new adventure. Now's the time to do it, because the homes are selling quickly and they're selling at high prices.
Yeah, the majority of them are. I mean, obviously, not every single home are we guaranteeing this, above market value price, but we have seen quite a few. I know with Marcia, we were talking about all the listings that she got last month, which was great. And the fact that none of them are available at this point, right, Marcia? They're all gone.
One is available, but we do have an offer on it, so it's available.
Okay, gotcha.
But yes, the activity is amazing.
Yeah.
And I think, Kim, you have a story about this.
The one in
Salisbury Mills.
Yeah. I mean, it was priced correctly, and we can talk about pricing correctly. But yeah, it was priced correctly, and we had an unbelievable amount of showings within the first 2 days that it was listed, and multiple offers and several over ask. It was a very difficult decision for the seller, but they chose the one with the best terms. It's not always about the money, but it's about the terms and how the timing works for everybody.
Absolutely. And another thing we're seeing an influx is of cash offers, right?
Yes, quite a few.
Yeah, absolutely. So, we pride ourselves on getting our buyers prepared for the market. And one of the things we always like to make sure is that they have a pre-approval before they start looking. But now more than ever, it's so important for purchasers to have all their financing in order, because when you have something like Kim's scenario and you have just, a couple of days going by and all these offers, and if you haven't even spoken to a lender yet, and now you're up against other offers that are cash, and you don't even have the proof that you can actually obtain financing, it's definitely a no-no in this market. And another thing I've been seeing and hearing, and a lot from you guys, is that people aren't even allowing showings right now without pre-approvals being sent prior to the showing, right?
Correct.
Yes.
Yeah, my listings state that. And there are two reasons. We're still, in this difficult physical situation, in the sense that we want to protect our people, the people coming in. We want to protect the sellers. So we don't want to have casual showings. And it's hard if you're a first-time home buyer and need the experience and the learning process of looking at homes and trying to determine what you truly want and need in that. So that, to me, is one of the most difficult parts right now.
Yeah.
You don't have time to shop. There's no window shopping here.
Well, I have a young couple that's first home buyers, and I'm going through that right now, Marcia. In their file, I must have 12 COVID letters
Right.
for the listings. I mean, it's a process for them. They have pre-approval and everything, but they're just looking hard. We see a couple of homes a weekend. It's not like we're going to 16 homes. So, but it's a process for them.
The other difficulty or challenge for first-time home buyers that certainly I've run up against is there is the emotion of buying a house, and they walk in and they love the house, and they're getting multiple offers, and then they want to go $40,000-$50,000 over the asking price, and what they're not realizing is down the road they're going to be borrowing money from a bank, and that bank is going to appraise that house.
That's right.
And that appraisal is going to come in, and there's no emotion from the bank. They're looking at numbers, they're looking at comps, when everything is sold, what they assess the value to be. And so if you're going to put in an offer of $50,000 over and it doesn't appraise at that, you need to have that $50,000 sitting there available to you. You know, you haven't earmarked it for anything else. And that, you know, that sort of takes the wind out of your sails.
Well, I think what's helpful to them too, Susan, that is absolutely right. But I think what we do as a broker, realtor, is give them, do a CMA on what they're looking at.
Yes.
So that we can give them guidelines to begin with, so that they can get those stars out of their eyes and say, I've got to have it. I don't care if it goes higher. And we do what the appraisers do. And it prepares them for that and say, understand that if you get it at that high price, you're going to have to make up the financial difference in cash.
As long as that's a contingency, which the listing agents and sellers are making it right now. I mean, if you're getting a house as a result of the bidding war and you choose to go 50,000 over the asking price, the seller shouldn't necessarily have to take that hit in a renegotiation if it doesn't appraise. So they're asking if your buyer will waive the appraisal, which a lot of people are doing right now.
And let me just say this is exactly why people need real estate professionals. Yeah. So that we can help them see around the corner, because we've all worked in many different markets, up, down, buyer, seller. And there's so many ways you can get tripped up to the closing table. Make sure you have a experienced and professional real estate person.
That's
just saying.
That's why you have a buyer's broker.
Yes.
Right.
Or a seller's
which we
broker.
are all qualified. We are all buyer's brokers when we need to be. But we've all taken classes and we're all certified as that. But what I was going to say also is when you're thinking about appraisals, appraisals go to what had already sold. So it doesn't mean that that house that you're making a higher bid on isn't worth it in today's marketplace. It's that you won't be able to prove it.
Yeah.
And that's the differential in my mind. It may very well be worth more money because it's a commodity and supply and demand, but you have to be able to prove it.
You got to substantiate it for sure.
Yeah.
And appraisers work in the past and we work in the present and the future.
Absolutely. And one of the things too that we were discussing, and I guess I think it's an interesting segue right now, we were talking about real estate as an investment earlier. And you know, if you're buying a home, and not to discourage anyone from winning the bidding war and going 50,000 over the asking price, but just to think about the investment that you're purchasing, and now you're buying into a, you know, currently potential negative equity scenario where you don't know whether or not you're going to recoup that value in the home in the future. But it's the market, you know, so people need to move. People want to move. We have a lot of great attention coming to our area, coming to the suburbs, and we're excited about it. But yeah, I mean, that's something that we're seeing a lot of as the result of the bidding wars. And I think people should also always think of real estate as long-term investment. You know, it's not something that you're going to turn over really quickly and make a profit in most cases. I mean, obviously there's investors in these markets that are buying properties, fixing them up and flipping them. But for the most part, I think when you think of real estate as an investment, everyone should think long-term, right, ladies?
Yeah,
right, absolutely.
Sure. And what was I just going to say? Just left my mind. It'll come back wherever
it went.
Yeah.
It's like my phone. You have to call it.
I know.
Right. So what were we seeing? I mean, when things were just starting with COVID and we had the shutdown, I mean, we saw just activity just kind of come to a halt, right? So we didn't have a spring market.
Right.
You guys feel that we got kind of cheated out of a spring market and we're seeing it now?
Definitely.
Yeah. Anybody else have any comments on that?
I don't know. I mean, it seemed to me we were, well, yes, I guess I do agree with that. I had to
I
think
am
about it. We were,
right.
but I guess what we were busy with, it's true. What we were busy with is figuring out how to virtually show houses,
Right.
how to market houses virtually, how to overcome the fact that we can't get you in the house. So you're right. We were very busy, but it was figuring out how to be busy again. Yeah.
Yeah. And you guys were all learning how to sharpen your swords to prepare for what happened in June, right?
Yeah,
That's
for
right.
sure.
Yeah, for sure.
And
I mean, this
continues.
basically talks about the markets overall, and it compares the months of April and May of 2020 to the months of April and May 2019 in the New York region. For people that don't know, Rand Realty is a company that's been around for 36 years. We do have offices in Orange County, Rockland County, and Westchester County. So we do handle a lot of the New York region. Even outside of those counties, we, go to Dutchess and Ulster and Sullivan and Putnam. So we
And
do
the Bronx. And the
Bronx. So we do quite a bit of business, and the market data is really interesting for the region to see how the numbers have varied when you take a look at April and May, which are usually, that's the beginning of your spring market numbers. And if you look at the sales, you can see that the numbers were down 26.6%. But what's interesting is June, when you compare June 2020 to June 2019, we as a company, we actually had our biggest June ever. Not for sales, but for our under contract business, for our new business that was written. So it was an amazing June, and we were very excited about that, setting the pace for the next quarter and even the remainder of the year. I mean, I guess.
But I think what really happened and what helped our June business is the pandemic came in March. We shut down, the office and distancing and all of that stuff. But Rand, to their credit, conducted these marvelous sessions for us and taught us how to virtually do our job without skipping a beat. That's why we had a good June.
I would say so. I would agree. I did some of those trainings.
You did. I think also they did a very good job for us too in helping us understand the rules we were dealing with.
Right.
And how to incorporate that in our doing our business. And I have to admit that I've had agents from other firms calling me, asking me, you guys know, tell us how we do this. Tell us what it's all about. So we have amazing leadership that did set us up to, what did we do? We kept calling it, we were reloading the cannons.
Yes.
We were loading the cannons. We were getting ready, because as soon as that bell went off, we weren't gonna sprint, we were gonna run.
Yeah.
I do want to say that we have wonderful guides for both buyers and sellers in this marketplace. So if anybody wants one of those, let us know. If they're thinking about selling, they're not sure what the procedures are, they are available. So any one of us will be happy to share that with you.
And if they're thinking of selling, we don't have to come in your home. We can do this virtually. You can talk to me on the phone and take me through your home, and I can tell you exactly what I see, and I can run the statistics for you.
Yeah, absolutely.
I did that with my client went around with we did FaceTime.
Yeah.
And eventually I actually physically went, but it gave me a good start to be able to do the market analysis. Okay. And now that, because I was not able to go to her house at that time, but now, things have eased up a little bit. But we're still going in with masks and gloves and booties if you want, and whatever else.
Sure. Yeah. And sometimes it's more comfortable to do it virtually because you're not wearing the masks and the gloves and things like that. So, a lot of people are still doing like a virtual first approach to things. And if that's
sure,
because you can say to the person that's walking through their home, oh, back up a minute. I want to see something over in that corner. What is that? Or how did you do that? Or tell me some of the interesting things of your home. And it works. I love doing it. I really
But
do.
it happens like this sometimes when you're trying to talk.
Yes, right. I have to tell you, I did a virtual tour of a home, and it was 3 days past that event. And I was sitting here and I couldn't remember if it was virtual or I was actually in that house. For some reason, I thought I had been in the house, but it just was because there was no deficit to it. I mean, there was no downside to doing it virtually.
Yeah.
It was amazing. I had to really think and look at my calendar. Oh, it was virtual.
We just sold
Only to your memory.
Well, I'm old.
We just sold a house in Warwick Grove, and I sold it virtually. The people never walked through the house. They did not do the inspection. I did the inspection on the FaceTime with them. I walked them through the home, and I'll probably do the final walkthrough before they close in August.
Amazing.
Never put a foot in the house. Of course, I've been dealing with them for 3 years.
Carol, they've seen every other home in Warwick Grove. This is the only one they've not been in.
Be careful, they may be watching.
Well, that's not a
Say
criticism.
hi.
Statement of
Say
fact.
Right. Well, I mean, if you've been working with them for 3 years, I can see why they would have seen every home in Warwick.
Well, yeah,
But there's the other factor,
they
Carol.
trusted me too.
That's what I was going to say, that the other factor is trust.
Yes.
And that's the relationship that you try to gain with your clients.
Sure.
That's the best thing that happens.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Sure.
So I just want to, because I know that we've mentioned it, we've talked about it, and we all know that still the biggest issue that we have is inventory, right? I mean, would you all say that that's the only thing that's really holding us back in our marketplace? Because you have that listing like Kim just listed, and you have X amount of offers on it. Well, you have X amount of buyers that didn't get that house, and you have X amount of realtors representing those buyers that now have to go to try to find them something else. And when the next one comes up, what's to say that there aren't going to be more buyers in the marketplace even fighting over that same house? So the inventory levels, if we take a look at April, May 2020 versus 2019, that's huge drop, 55% in the listings. But again, the June over June is higher, but it's still low considering the fact that we had so many listings in April, May of 2019. So, definitely listings are something that this market needs, and hopefully seller confidence is increasing. But we also talked about seller confidence increasing too much and the danger of that, right, ladies?
Yeah. Yes.
They have to rely on,
Definitely.
again, their broker when they list to give them the right range that their house should be. They put the price on it, but we give them a range that we investigate and so forth to come up with that range. And they have to trust in us and understand, if you price it right, marketing and pricing is what's going to sell your home.
And a strategy again for those buyers that come in with significantly over ask, and you have to have a strategy in place for that scenario and appraisals.
Right.
Yes.
Absolutely. And Kim, what might you suggest? Is there a certain, part of the strategy? I mean, without giving away all your deep, dark selling secrets, what would you suggest?
Well, I think you touched on it earlier, having a discussion and counseling your seller and saying this may potentially happen. There's good chances that you will get multiple offers, and there's a good chance you're going to get offers over the list price. And we need to really keep in mind how you want to handle the options. Is it an option for taking an offer significantly higher and going back to the buyer and saying, we'll accept your offer, you have to waive the appraisal, or guarantee that if it doesn't appraise, you'll make up the difference if need be. In some situations, if somebody is coming in with a very strong offer with a significant of money down and your loan to value is not high, then there's a good chance it'll even out anyway. So again, there's just different scenarios to go over with your seller and to prepare them for what could potentially happen. And we've seen it happening. We're experiencing it right now.
Yeah. And luckily through experience, you know how to deal with these issues as they arise. Yes, Carol.
I have not seen, I've been watching the solds every day, And I don't see great big, now a lot of them maybe have not closed yet, the ones that we're talking about that had numerous offers. I'm dying to know what they're actually closing for, how much they went over. And has anybody noticed it? Maybe I missed something.
No, because there's a lot of pending, but not a lot of closed.
We should have closed now, probably.
Probably going into that.
Yeah.
I just think it's a very stressful time. Even if the seller is getting more money, I think it's stressful for the seller and stressful for the buyer. So that's part of the two tails.
We can take some of the stress out of that, though.
Right.
Carol, your sense of humor will get anybody out of stress.
And you know what? Not only, I mean, you mentioned it's stressful for the seller and buyer, but can't you also agree that this is like the first time in a long time that you could actually say this is a great market for both selling and buying?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, between the rates and between the prices, I think both have advantages in this market. And then again, you know, if the buyer's looking at real estate in the long term, then it is going to be a good investment. And that kind of leads to talking about affordability of homes, right? I mean, we know not just from what we've been taught by Joe Rand and, you know, the analysis that he's done, but we know that homes have never been as affordable as they are today, right?
Right.
Do you have that chart?
You do have a chart, right?
Yeah, because it's really hard for people to believe that. Not that we would tell them anything that wasn't the truth, but the fact that it is hard to believe that with our pricing today, because everybody remembers what it was 20 years ago, but they don't remember the interest rate 20 years ago. So that combination of extremely low interest rate allows people to actually be in a better buying position than they were 20 years ago.
Absolutely.
It does sound strange though.
I know. It's amazing. Well, even if you look back to 2 years ago, I purchased my home 2 years ago. My interest rate was 4.625%, and I thought it was great because my last home I purchased in 2005, the interest rate was 6.5%. So with the 4.625, I was like, oh, this is amazing. I just refinanced 2 weeks ago. I'm at 2.99 right now.
Oh,
Amazing.
Mm-hmm. So
wow.
I mean,
that's almost like OPM, other people's money.
It is other people's money. Yeah.
Wow, that's crazy. It makes me want to buy another home.
It does make me want to buy another home or put a pool in the backyard. Either way.
So are we going to talk about pools?
Yes, we need to talk about pools. So I mentioned, let's talk about not just like pricing trends and inventory and kind of like what's going on and what we've been seeing in the market, but what are we seeing in what people are looking for?
Pools.
And home offices.
Home office.
And home office.
And places for homeschooling.
I had someone recently tell me that after the pandemic, they figured out they don't like the open floor plan anymore.
Right. I've had people say that to me also.
They want rooms. They want separate rooms so we can get away from each other.
So I guess I won't take down the wall between my kitchen and my dining room.
No, don't do it.
Not yet.
Not yet.
Until the next trend comes along.
Corporate.
Well, I think that will be the next trend.
But you can incorporate an open flowing floor plan with having office space too that is set aside.
Exactly.
I had that in Warwick Grove with my floor plan.
Is that another plug?
Oh, I'm sorry.
It is a great place to live for us 55 and betters.
Right. Don't forget about the many buyers now who are looking. Oh, they were looking, but now even more so for homes that can accommodate extended family.
Oh.
Yes.
Oh.
And we were talking about that earlier, that I was talking to a builder recently that was thinking about the possibility of building homes with that setup already in place. So rather than having someone have to make that conversion themselves, it would already have that extended family setup, which I thought was really interesting, because it seems like the couple of things that we're talking about that are, hot right now, swimming pools, offices, extended family. You used to have a more narrow set of people looking for those things, didn't you?
Yes, definitely.
Yeah, it was very specific.
They have a much larger target audience now.
And
Well-
the pools more so, I think, for people, traveling obviously is not top of mind too much anymore. So people are staying home, staycationing, doing local, and if they have a pool, that's even more reason to be able to stay home and enjoy.
And I also heard that the home improvement stores did very well during the pandemic because people
They
were
did.
doing all types of projects to improve their space.
Oh my God, I should have done that 2 years ago.
Yeah, I know for myself, and we actually didn't do it during the pandemic because I was begging forever for us to do it during the pandemic, but we finally did it on 4th of July weekend, and we built a fire pit.
Your fire pit, yeah.
That's a nice addition.
I
How
have,
about gardens? I have lots of folks who are looking for land because they want to have gardens.
yeah,
Exactly.
gardening has been very big. Even, having chickens. We were talking about chickens earlier, right? One of the agents in our office,
A few of your agents.
but Grace just got the chicken coop. We've had agents that have had chickens, but I think people are now exploring these new adventures, if you will.
That's true.
So I think Grace is looking forward to having her own eggs soon. I've considered it myself, but
Is it allowed?
I don't know in the village. I'm not 100% sure. So.
It is not allowed in Warwick Grove.
No.
Nobody
No
in Warwick,
chickens,
hey,
please.
nobody
Listen,
in Warwick Grove is looking for chickens.
No, what we do
can
is
sell our eggs.
we go a mile down the road to our neighborhood farmer and we buy chickens. I mean, we buy eggs.
Eggs.
You buy eggs.
We buy eggs.
If Grace and others have abundance of eggs, can we come to Warwick Grove and sell them?
You could go door to door. I'll point you to the
Door
right.
to door.
Start at
I-
my
There's
house.
no
Don't allow
solicitation.
peddling. Peddling is not allowed.
That's what I
That's
just
right.
said.
Listen, I'll take you by the hand with your eggs and introduce you to my neighbors. And oh, by the way, would you like to buy some eggs?
Might happen, who knows? But I am very
There's-
excited because today I am going to pick wax beans.
Oh, nice.
Oh,
Fresh wax beans, and then we already have cucumbers and zucchini, and we've had lettuce, we've had peas, and a lot of green tomatoes at the moment.
I'm going to come to your house and make a salad.
You have to wait. Lettuce is not so good now. It's not good when it gets warm
Mm.
and it gets hot.
I'm-
There are a lot of buyers out there and people who are looking into property, so we were talking about doing virtual tours earlier, and I've over the past 2 weeks have driven by properties, taken pictures, doing FaceTime with someone out of the area that, yes, they're interested in the house, but right now they are interested in the property. They want to make sure it's conducive for gardening and chickens and because they're feeling like when they do purchase something here in the country, if you will, that
You can
they're,
put that in quotes.
homesteading is really, people are, listen, this opened up a lot of opportunity for everybody and opened everybody's eyes to what could happen, right?
Yes,
Mhm.
and it changed their perspective in what they're looking for and their lifestyle.
Exactly.
So I
It's
think
lifestyle.
that is what we're seeing. Pools are wonderful, but being able to have a garden, and want to do that, that's where I see a big difference. You're not just
Well,
going to put a few flowers out.
People now, so many people are never going to be going back to the office.
That's
They can work from home. They can have a garden. They really can have it all.
Did you see the garden that Michael put in at the landmark?
no.
Yes.
Oh my Lord, when you
Yes.
drive by, it's to the
Amazing.
right. It's to the right of his restaurant. And oh my Lord, it's
Yeah.
amazing. I bet he's going to be canning a lot of stuff to use in his restaurant.
Yes.
That's what I'm thinking.
That's possible.
Yeah.
Well, the closest I will get to gardening is the pot of basil and the pot of mint that I have on my deck right now. I just want you guys to know that. And
Rachel, that's a start.
Is
Marshmallow
that-
is probably the furthest I'm gonna go. But it is nice when I make my lemonade that I like to make in the summer with mint and cucumber. I can just go to my deck and just pluck a couple of leaves, and it's there for me.
Whatever you do, don't ever plant mint in your ground.
Yes, I have it.
It'll
It
take-
grows.
It'll take
Over.
over your entire property.
Yeah,
True.
I've heard Grace, back to Grace, she was giving some away not so long ago because of that.
Yeah, for sure.
So talking about vegetables and mint and land and property, let's talk about land. So aren't we seeing an influx of people interested in land now as well?
Yeah, we sure are.
I
Yeah,
actually walked
definitely.
land yesterday.
You did.
Mhm.
Yeah. So people are, I guess, I assume, right? They're looking at land as an option because there's no inventory, or they're
Right.
getting tired of the bidding wars, right? Or they just want to personalize and customize and build exactly what it is that
Or they're picking and choosing areas that they'd like to live in, and there's nothing available there. Well, they said, well, if I find a piece of land, I'll build.
right.
Yep.
Yeah. So we're seeing a lot more of that happening right now. And Kim, you were mentioning as well, same thing, right?
Yeah, definitely the same thing. I'm working with a few buyers right now who are looking at land.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So someone that's looking at land, let's just talk about that process a little bit. So someone has, absolutely no clue what they're doing. It's, their first time home buyer, but like I said, they're just kind of exhausted about the market and, looking around and getting outbid and everything. And they find this ideal piece of land and they're like, okay, well, I want to buy the land and build a house. What do they do? What's next? How do they go through that process?
Well, first thing is they want to make sure that it's a buildable piece of property. 'Cause
Okay.
there are parameters, per
An approved piece, preferably,
yeah,
right?
approved
So-
by the
It-
town according to code.
Right. And there should
That
be
has
maps.
maps and surveys and
Yes, exactly. The seller should have all of that information. If it's not raw land, they'll have the survey and they'll have all of the
And
information on
if
it
it is raw land, there's a big price tag that comes along with that over and above the purchase price of the property.
for engineering.
That's it. It has to be engineered and so,
Mhm.
forth,
Right. But if they're buying a piece of property that is engineered and fully approved and ready, shovel ready, as they say, the buyer needs to know that they need to work with a builder who will sometimes determine what type of financing they want. I actually had somebody right now who didn't understand that I think there's very few lenders right now who will lend on vacant land. So
only part, it's usually a
Apportionment.
50% down
right, if they'll lend at all for a land
and
loan.
then roll in the
Mhm.
final, but it's complicated and you need guidance.
Exactly. So to either talk to a lender or if they have cash, and then put them in touch with a builder who's going to walk them through the process with the architect and, the permits and
I think
everything
that
that's needed.
A good thing to do too is before you put any money at risk, you get a builder to walk that property. Because even if it's approved, you want to
Yeah.
know what other costs could be involved.
Exactly.
They might find shale looking
Mhm.
at the property. They might suspect other costs involved. A 300-foot driveway,
Right.
things of that nature. Water runoff. There's a lot of things to it. So you make friends with a builder right away, or you have a builder in your pocket that you trust. Take them for a walk.
Right.
I
Exactly.
also think that sometimes people think that it's less expensive, which
Oh.
it is not.
no.
Even if you're building a modest house or a modular, the cost factors when you come to build are great, and that people don't think of because they always see the house in their mind, but not what goes into the basement, the septic, the well, all the other parts of it that are very expensive.
It's
Exactly.
a candy store It's a candy store.
Right. It gets
You go in-
dangerous.
You go in with the standard features that come with the price of the house, the base price of the house, but that is not what you end up with.
That's so true.
Exactly.
You put all those things in front of you. I was with a client the other day. We were at the builder's site, and they were looking at the some of the shingles and blah blah blah, and inevitably they went to everything that was upgraded. So they're going to find out very soon, you know, that it's not what you think it's going to be. Your budget swells.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Sure. And I like the candy store analogy. That's a good one. That's like me.
It's a wonderful, wonderful experience to go through. I've been in new construction for 30 years, and it is very exciting. It's a great experience as long as you know what you're dealing with and the builder that you're working with.
Oh, for sure. The builder makes a big difference.
Yeah.
We had a very good builder here.
You know, you did your research, your comparisons, you know exactly what you're getting into. And you've been prepped, and you have a great realtor working with you to guide you through the process. So that's another option as well to kind of deal with the low inventory that we're having. But you know, we just want more listings, right? I mean, we want to make sure that anyone that's out there that's thinking about it and they're waiting to see, like, is this the right time? Should I wait a little bit longer? No, right? I mean,
It's the right time.
Can we back up 1 second and I give a plug to my property that I'm selling on Hamiltonian Road in Chester with Warwick Schools. It's wonderful. It's 7 acres with a view. Beautiful.
What's the price, Carol?
The price is $195, and they paid $250,000 for the property in a different market. Okay, but they're very anxious to sell. It's beautiful property, beautiful. I could take people up on the property to where the house will sit. The house site is set to capture the view. It's beautiful.
Don't you have a drone tour? You can.
It's on my website.
Share.
Yeah.
Good. So what do we have as some last comments, ladies, before we turn off?
So as everyone said earlier, it's just very important always to have a professional, which we all are. And although it's a misconception, you know, why do we need a realtor, especially during this time? But they do. It's actually more so than ever, right? I think everybody will agree.
Absolutely.
Yes,
whether it's for a seller or a buyer, because of the way that everything is, you need that expertise, and you need someone who has real-time statistics at their hands. And
really funny too, Clem, in this market, everybody's shopping online.
Everybody.
And they want to call the listing broker.
Yes.
And if it's the listing broker, you know, who's representing you?
Exactly. Right.
So, I mean, unless you come to me as a listing broker, then
Then you are not, because even if you're a dual agent, you can't represent properly. So,
but, you know, I give it to a colleague.
yes, so do I. So do I.
Buyer and seller, so that negotiations can go very well. That's all. But
right.
it's very, I laugh at people that they think they're going to get a better deal because they go directly to the listing broker, but they don't have the proper representation.
Exactly.
That's
And with all the
old-time real
multiple
estate.
offers, yeah, it is. But with all the multiple offers, you want someone representing you,
Oh my gosh, of course.
right?
Absolutely. And
To
just
have them-
because you're going to the listing agent in multiple offers doesn't mean that that's going to increase or better your chances, because
Exactly.
even though the agent represents the seller, they still have to be fair and equal to all parties. They can't do anything that's underhandedly going to give you an advantage over anyone else.
Well, you can't, if they
That's
tell
true.
you things, they tell you things in confidence, and that's very hard place to be. Very hard place to be, to represent both, I think.
Well, you can't tell anybody in confidence if you represent both parties.
I know, that's what I'm saying.
So that for the buyer, it's not, it's to their I'm agreeing with you.
Yeah,
It's
big
their
disadvantage.
disadvantage.
Yeah, right.
Listen,
Unless they continue to work as a seller's agent and explain that upfront. I represent the seller. I cannot guide you. That's the only other option. And what you really want is somebody to help guide you.
And you want someone like in Carol's situation where she had buyers that trusted her. She's been working with them. She did all FaceTime with them. She did the inspection with them and they never walked through the house. You have to establish that relationship with a buyer's agent who's going to work in your best interest.
Yeah.
You know, and again, especially now, and you have to act quickly because inventory is going so quickly.
I actually did that last year with a buyer who was out of state, and it was a little uncomfortable, I must say, you know, to have somebody make a decision based on what I showed them and not really be able to, because we're so accustomed in the past to sit down and talk about it. But it was somebody I knew for many, many years, and I was thrilled that they had that trust in me.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so final thoughts, and you guys all have 30 seconds each on the final thoughts. Susan.
My final thought is everyone needs an agent, because in real estate, if you make a real estate transaction, if you make it a mistake, it can end up being very, very expensive. The cheap turns out expensive. So get a real estate agent.
All right.
A realtor.
Realtor. Okay.
Carol,
Realtor,
I'm
you're
calling
right.
on you now, Carol.
Oh, now you're calling on me.
I'm calling on you. I'm actually saying, Carol, now is your turn to speak.
I think after our talk today, people should be more aware of the quality and the value of Better Homes and Gardens in Rand. It's right on Railroad Avenue, and give us a call. We'll help you out in any aspect of your real estate market.
Awesome. Marcia.
Thank you for allowing us to come into your house or home or phone. And if you need any assistance, we are all here to help.
Yeah. All right. And then I guess my final thing is the same. We're here to help all of you that are out there. If you're looking to buy, sell, rent, anything that you're looking to do.
I want to jump in very, very quickly about renting. The laws have changed.
Hold on, I'm not done yet.
Oh, that was 30 seconds.
On our line.
What about 23 seconds, Marcia? My last 7 seconds is, if you're interested in a career in real estate, give me a call as the branch manager of Better Homes and Gardens Rand Realty, because it's a great time.
I'm sorry.
Now you can go.
I was just going to say the laws have changed and you really need guidance through them.
Yeah, for sure. So we're all here for you guys. Our names are here. Our email addresses are our first name dot our last name at randrealty.com. If you want to get phone numbers too, and I'll just start with Carol. I'm going to go across my screen. Carol, what's your phone number?
Okay, my cell is 914-443-2496. Look forward to hearing from you.
Marcia?
845-258-0041 is my cell.
Susan?
Cell 201-697-2200.
And Kim?
845-258-7290.
Okay, and I'm 845-544-3675. We thank you all for joining us today, and we hope that you found the information helpful, and we hope to see you, hear from you, and help you in the future.
Okay, thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye, guys. Another fun